Hello, my name is Janet McCord, and I go to Ventura College. I am currently going to be interviewing Regine Pringle, who is a Holocaust survivor, and she's from Santa Barbara, California to this day. Regine Pringle was 9 years old when the war broke out in her hometown of eastern part of France, near Germany. At this time, she lived in a 2-room apartment with her mother and father and 2 sisters. In July of 1941, she was taken from her home to a French concentration camp in Poitiers. The camp was divided into 2 sides, one side being for the Jews and the other side for the Gypsies. These 2 sides were divided by a sharp barbed wire fence. Although the children were in the midst of such a dark and hateful time, they still found pride and strength amongst their people by putting on plays and continuing their education at the camp. As a child, Regine remembers roll call to be one of the most frightening times at the camp. In 1941, she was released from the concentration camp because all French children were pardoned from the camp. Her sisters were sent to Paris, and she stayed in Poitiers, France. Her mother and father were still in the concentration camp. Her mother was allowed to make short visits with Regine, while her father was still held hostage back at the camp. The Nazis would allow these visits, hoping that the child would return with the mother. Her parents were later moved to another concentration camp, where she visited them. When she visited her parents, she begged them to let her stay. Although her parents loved her and missed her so much, they remained strong and would not let her stay with them at the camp. All children who stayed at this camp were later killed by the Nazis. After this, she was later paired with the Jewish Joint Distribution and orchestrated an escape from occupied France to Vichy, France. There she stayed with her aunt and moved to a convent. Shortly after that, she was taken to a farm. And when they found out that she was Jewish, she was later moved again. Between 1941 and 1944, she was constantly moving from place to place, hiding from the Nazis. In 1944, she found herself in Toulouse, France. It was no longer safe in her home country of France. She and about 44 other children were eventually included in a plan to escape out of France into Spain. On May 4th, 1945, she finally arrived in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. From there, she found herself at her final destination with her aunt and uncle in Paterson, New Jersey. At the end of this long journey, she was now safe, but still felt a fear that this horrific event may happen again one day. Hi, Regine. I have a couple questions for you.
Sure.
How are you?
Fine, thanks.
Good. My first question is, after surviving such a great journey, how do you feel about human nature?
Well, you know, it's when you ask that question, it's hard to answer, except that the way I was brought up by my father, he always had me understand that human nature, it has absolutely nothing to do with religion, that it has to do with people. There's always going to be good people and bad people, and that we need to accept that. But he did instill in me that as a whole, human nature is good.
Yes.
And so I have not lost this optimism. I
Wow.
still have that.
That's great. That's really great. So you feel that in everyone there's a good to everyone underlying, or just
I think there's a lot of very good people,
Yes.
and there's some people that are in between. But I somehow feel that there are some people who are just born not
Yes.
nice, and I don't think that it matters what we do. There's going, you know,
There will
we're
always
always
be
going
that.
to have to worry about that and deal with that. I think this is going to be a challenge.
I agree. Thank you. How was it when you came to the United States after everything?
That was hard. First of all, I knew no one. I didn't know my aunt and uncle. They had no idea that I was even coming here. So I was put in an orphanage first in Newark, New Jersey. And then they were able to trace my aunt and uncle. I spoke no English, and they spoke no French. We did speak a little bit of Yiddish, and that was the only way we were able to communicate.
Okay.
But I had to start all over again, and it's a complete stranger in a strange land. And it was learning all over again. It was hard.
Did you feel accepted more here, or?
I don't think I thought about being accepted. I just started feeling strange.
Okay.
I felt safe. I do say that I felt very safe.
You felt safe when
And
you
to
came
this
here.
day, I still feel safe in this country.
That's great. Have you been reunited with any of your family members from France?
Well, I was not, the first time I finally had a chance to be reunited with my two sisters was in 1979, so I had not seen them from 1941 until then. And the reason I came was because my daughter had a scholarship, a Rotary scholarship to study, and so I came to visit her.
Okay.
And the thing is, my parents were killed in Auschwitz, and after I left France and came to the United States, at one point I wanted to come back, and nobody in France wanted me. My sisters didn't ask my aunts and uncles, and so in my mind, I had made up my mind that I would never come back to France, and that I would become a citizen of the United States as soon as I could. And I did. As soon as I turned 21, I became a citizen. And had my daughter not been, chosen for a scholarship, I probably would have never come back.
Wow.
But I did see them finally.
Wow.
And that was very traumatic.
Yes.
Extremely traumatic.
And you shared your feelings, and you got to
It was
reconnect.
very hard
and
because we really didn't know each other.
yeah.
Especially my younger sister and I. She was 7 and I was 10 when we last saw each other. And so she didn't even really knew who I was. My older sister remembered, and that was very hard and traumatic. Yes.
So hearing their stories made you bond more with them, and you reconnected with them
at least
more.
I do know I have a family. There's something about blood relations that just doesn't go away,
Yes.
no matter what.
Definitely, definitely. All right. Do you feel as though this profound experience that you've been through, this has instilled an inner strength inside of you?
Oh, definitely, definitely. I think that it could do one or the other. I think that it could have affected me just the other way. I don't know why. I was very fortunate that it gave me strength. For a while, I honestly didn't want to survive. I wanted to be wherever my parents were, and if they were gone, I wanted to join them. And but somehow, this feeling that if I'm in this world, there's got to be a reason for it, has been with me ever since then. There's a combination of guilt and a combination of something is expected of me that I have to do to make the world a better place. And I guess this is, I started with my 4 children. I have 4 children, and I hope that I instilled that in them, and I hope that they will instill them to their children, and if it goes on like that, and more people do it, maybe the good will overcome the bad.
Definitely, definitely. So you feel that you were here for like a purpose, like you have a purpose.
This is the only way I could survive, is figuring I'm here for a purpose.
I think you are.
And
definitely.
I'm still wondering what the purpose is, but I'm still here, so I might find it yet. I don't know.
You're an amazing woman. Thank you so much for talking to me, and
Oh, you're very welcome.
I really enjoyed speaking with you.
Really nice meeting you too.
Thank you.
Thank you.